What's up, guys? It's Devlore here, and this is Spiral Nights again. This is literally being filmed like I want to say less than 30 seconds from when the last episode ended. Like I said, we're gonna fight Snarbolox now. If you didn't see the last episode, well, there wasn't really anything in completely vital in there. Just like what I've been doing and sort of a little update, so you don't have to watch that video first, but I would recommend it. So there was something that I mentioned in the last episode. The boss levels are always the same. So what you see here, no matter how many times you attempt this boss room, this boss run, level, whatever you want to call it will always be the same layout every single time. The same enemies will appear in the same circumstances, and they will appear in the same numbers. So if you're doing this mission, the ideal setup that you want to bring is you want to bring a lot of piercing defense, because most of these enemies are beasts. And you also want to bring a piercing weapon and an elemental weapon, because not most, literally all of the enemies are weak to either piercing or elemental. There are undead, constructs, beasts, and fiends. Two of those are weak to piercing, two of those are weak to elemental. So yeah. Anyway, let's get started. I'm probably not going to spend too much time on this, but alright, something that I forgot to mention, if you look at my gear, you'll see sword damage bonus low. That means I deal extra damage with swords. And, give me a sec. Stupid wolf. Honestly, I feel a little bad about killing those guys because they're kind of cute and I like dogs. You see that little yellow thing in between charge time reduction and strong freeze thing? That is called a unique variant, or UV for short. Basically, they're random things that can be added to your weapon. This thing has a damage bonus versus fiend of low, so it will deal more damage to fiends compared to I'm trying to think which one. Slimes. So it will deal more damage to fiends than it will to slimes. I say fiends and slimes because anything other than slimes will be either super effective or super ineffective. My shadow sword here also has one, attack speed increase high. I find it way more useful, but the thing is, it doesn't really help a whole lot, just because, well, at least here, just because piercing and elemental are weapons you want to bring, like I said, because everything is weak to one of those two. So yeah, I'm just kind of running along here. In case you were wondering, that's one of my pet's abilities, and wow, one hit kill. Yeah, it poisons enemies, and when you hit them, the quill things explode and deal extra damage. Kind of like the cutter. And if you're wondering, he's level 18, he's 2-star, and these are his skills. So, and I also have him giving me 1 extra health, which is always nice. This thing is something that you'll only see in this level, called the Beast Bell. Any beasts in its range, when you hit it, will be stunned. Like you just saw. Like that. In case you're wondering why I'm not picking up these crystals, only 3 of them really matter. The red, yellow, and purple, corresponding to the 3 pets. Because in order to make them go from one level to another, you need a certain item made from those crystals. red for the dragon guy, yellow for the cat guy, and purple for the ghost guy, which is what I have. And since there was no purple there, it makes both those are irrelevant. So unless someone in my party has the dragon guy or the cat guy, then I'll only pick up the purple ones because those are the only ones that help me. So yeah, we're just kind of chugging along here. Like I said, the enemy layouts and everything is the same every single time. So if you're watching this and you haven't been to this level before, now you know what to expect. If you have done this before, now, but you've only done it once, now you know that it's that is the same every time. You see these things? These are creature pods. I don't know if that's what they're called, but they're basically cages. They can contain a random monster and lag spike. See? There. That's like the one thing in these levels that is not set in stone. Because I did not get this guy last time I did this level. So, yeah. I mean, they're still there. It's just the monsters inside aren't always set in stone. So you're not always going to get this combo. Yeah. One thing that's really nice about this game is after you get 2 swords, normal damage becomes kind of irrelevant unless you're using the sword for any special effects. So what do I mean by that? Well, monsters can only have 1 strength and 1 weakness. There are 4 damage types. Normal always deals normal damage. So, normal, you're not going to be able to deal those big yellow great damage numbers, but at the same time you'll never deal the pitiful gray damage numbers like that. So, and once you have 2 weapons of differing types, so I have a pure sword and an elemental sword, even if I come up against a slime or a gremlin, I'll still be able to deal decent damage because they may be resistant to elemental and piercing respectively. However, gremlins aren't resistant to piercing, and slimes aren't resistant to elemental. It's a hard thing to explain. I don't know if I explained it well or not, but either way, that's the explanation that I gave. Basically, of the 4 damage types, normal is always okay. It's not going to be good, but it's not going to be bad either. And each monster is strong against one type, weak against one type, and neutral against one type. So, like I said, even if you come across an enemy that's normal, or that's strong against your damage type, if you have another sword of a different damage type, then odds are they will be either weak against it or neutral towards it. Sorry about that, dropped a water bottle. So, yeah, that's just about all I have to say for now. While this is loading. So, how have you guys been? Enjoying the videos? Leave a response or something, just because I don't know if I'm doing well or not, because I still have a small channel. I don't really have a following yet. But, oh, also, before I forget again, I'd like to thank each and every person who watched my all weapons video for Boring Man. I know that you probably only watched it for the weapons and the explanations, However, it still means a lot, and it's awesome that I can brag to my friends that I have a video with over 1.5 thousand views. It 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 it's one of those things where it just makes you happy. It's like taking down an elder dragon. There I go again with Monster Hunter. Actually, now that I think about it, this game has a lot of similarities to Monster Hunter. I mean, if you think about it, you level up your gear, not your character. You can collect items in the field that help you out later on, whether it's increasing your attack, giving you more health, or something like that, or clearing status effects. There are multiple different enemy types with weaknesses to different damage types. There are a bunch of different weapons, even in the same category. What do I mean by that? Well, let's take the bombs. Let's compare the swords. In Monster Hunter, you have a bunch of different swords. You have what I'll call the light swords, which are sword and shield, dual blade, and I guess long sword. And in, well, not really long sword, but sword and shield and dual blades. And prowler, kind of. Prowler's difficult to define. It's like an in-between grayish area. Personally, I love playing as Prowler, but yeah, it doesn't have one damage. It has boomerangs and it can hit people with a stick, so it's tricky to classify. So anyway, getting back on track, the fast swords of this game are this line here, the flourish line, and also the cutters that I showed earlier. In the last video, the ones where it has 2 attacks per swing, or 2 hits per swing, and they're really cool. I mean, I'm not using them right now because, like I said, normal damage is kind of irrelevant right about now. The poison, I have a guy that can poison people, so I don't really need it. And like I said, it is very easy to get carried away with the sword, just like I got carried away with my thoughts. And then, going back to the Monster Hunter Spiral Knights comparison, the medium swords for Monster Hunter, I would say that would be things like the insect glaive, the longsword. Love my longsword, by the way. Longsword for life. I'd say hunting horn and charge blade, maybe switch axe, maybe. And that's like this sword. Standard 3-hit combo, not too fast, not too slow. This is one of the most versatile lines of swords because both this sword here, my shadow sword, and 3 other swords all come from one 2-star sword. So that's handy. I personally went with the freezing variant. The other variants are the shadow variant, which I also have. And then there's the fire variant, which deals elemental damage just like this, but it inflicts a fire status effect. There's also the shock status effect one. However, that one is rather difficult to obtain just because you need to play PvP in order to get it, and at my level, there aren't a whole lot of people playing PvP. At least at the times that I get on, so it's, at least for me, it's difficult to get the recipe, and I just don't feel it's worth it. I feel that the ice line is underrated because freezing enemies in place, that's handy. I don't care how, or I don't care if the enemy is weak to it or not. If you have a horde of baddies following you and you can just and you can just freeze them at any time, just freeze them in place like that, then that's invaluable. Or that's irreplaceable. While yes, shock is handy, I find freeze to be more useful. And also easier to access. And then there are also the heavy weapons. So in Monster Hunter, I think that'd be, if the switch axe isn't a heavy weapon, I would say that it would be or if switch axe isn't a medium weapon, I'd say it'd be a heavy weapon. I'd also say greatsword, of course, hammer, of course. I'm pretty sure that that's it as far as weapons. I might be forgetting one, but I'm trying to think. Sword and shield, dual blades, longsword, insect glaive, charge blade, hammer, hunting horn. Alright, lance and gun lancer, medium. So that's, I believe that's 8. I don't know. I don't care anymore. But yeah, you get what I mean. Even though they may serve the same-ish purpose, they still have vastly different properties, I'll say. Even in the line that I was just talking about, with the 3 elemental swords that all come from the same 2-star, that all come from one sword, even among those there's differences, because as if you saw in the last video, poison, well, it's shock, fire, or freeze. Freeze, I forgot to mention this, but when enemies unfreeze, they get damage to them as well. So, I didn't mean to kill him, I promise. Too strong. Or I'm accidentally hitting him with the sword. So, the only way that you're really going to freeze someone is with that blast there. As you can see, he can attack me, but he can't turn or anything. And he got some damage when he unfroze. So, I really like the freezing line. This up here is the boss room. So these first 3 boss levels have 2 preceding levels, I'll say, followed by 1 boss arena. And that's what we're going to now. Now, usually the bosses have a special way to beat them, and, well, I'll say 2.5 of them have a special tactic that you need to use in order to deal damage to them. I say half because of the last boss layer, which we'll get to when we get to it. If I ever find a guild, I might be able to hitch a ride on one of my friends' or on one of my guildmates' runs. Anyway, getting to the Snarbolox, I kind of skipped over that, but this is the arena. As you saw, I was able to bypass the party button. You see this beast bell? This is very important. So, you step on the button. You can tuck yourself up against the gate to prevent from any damage. Well, unless he teleports to this corner up here and shoots spikes. Like he just did. That you're going to have to shield for. So, he does that, and then you want to get up in his face. Wait, what? I can't hit him. So go up to the beast bell, hit him, and then deal as much damage as you possibly can. This boss can be it can be a massive pain in the butt if you're not careful, or if RNG just isn't on your side, because he doesn't have to lunge for you. He can just keep teleporting around and moving through spikes and stuff. Or he can fake you out, where he pretends to get close, but he's really not in range, and see, I made it look really easy, but that's just because, like I said earlier, I'm way ahead of this boss. This is tier 1. I'm currently in tier 2, and I'm working to get to tier 3. After every boss, you have like this little prize area, followed by that thing. That's a story thing. I don't really care about the story, so I'm going to ignore that. And besides, I've already picked it up. And just like that, that's the end of the boss run. Usually people will get here by mission, so that'll be the end of the mission. However, if you decide to go down through the arcade, which you can do, as I'll show you in a minute, then you'll go down to the, I don't know what exactly to call it. I'll call it the pit stop between the tiers. I might do a stream about the various depths, because there are a couple achievements I don't have yet. The big ones, actually, I believe the only ones that I don't have are alchemize a 5-star item, and create an arsenal with all 5-star gear. So 5-star weapon, shield, armor, whatever, all that stuff. And 5 swords, 5 shields, 10 bombs, 10 swords, and 10 shields. 10 swords, 10 bombs. Okay, let me just show you the achievements that I'm missing. Achievements, here we go. So these are all the ones that I have. A lot of these, not a lot. These you'll just get from playing the game normally. Yeah, alchemize 5-star item, don't have that. 10 bombs, don't have that. 10 helmets, don't have that. 10 armors, shields, and then arsenal, all 5-star. Those I'll get eventually. That's gonna be endgame. And that's gonna be endgame as well. However, these are the ones that I'm talking about. Tier 1 expedition without having to revive. No problem, that's easy. Tier 2. A little tougher, but still easy. Tier 3. Now you're pushing it a little bit. That's still doable, it's just very difficult. The entire clock works. You go from the top to the bottom, depth 0 to depth 29 in a single expedition. That will take a while. That's what I was talking about when I mentioned streaming. If I ever stream this, I'll probably end up streaming me trying to do that, and some people can just hop in like every 3 levels or so, and we can rotate out. And then there's this. Do this, but don't revive. Yeah. That is that is the toughest achievement to grab, because you have to go that entire time without dying once. All the way from up here, through all of these levels, all the way down to here, without dying once. So yeah, going back to the arcade, this is the thing I'm talking about. You have the different depths here. So this is the final boss run, the only tier 3 boss. There's 1 tier 1 boss, 1 tier 3 boss, and 2 tier 2 bosses. This is Lord Vanaduke, Firestorm Citadel, whatever you want to call it. We'll get to that later on. If you look here, there's like a halfway point when you're halfway down. This also announces a change in stratum, which is like each tier has 2 stratums. Each stratum has a different damage level, so like even between tier 1, you'll deal more damage here than you will at the level before it here. And after you're done with that, you have this, which is, like I said, the pit stop. And once you pass the Hall of Heroes for that tier, you can go straight there. So since I'm tier 2, I can go straight here and just teleport there and start working my way down from there. And then there's another one for tier 3. So yeah, that's just about it. These are additional missions. They switch out every day. So I usually don't do these unless it's something easy that I can get done, like these supply delivery things. This expansion, I don't know if I'll ever do this, but basically what this is it's whoa. Okay, that's new. It's an expansion pack. It's basically DLC. You don't have to get it, but it's handy because you get this stuff. This, remember how I was mentioning the various speeds? That's one of the slow but really strong weapons. Of course, it's only 1 star, so not going to be all that impressive. That's a bomb, really handy. But then you go up here and it's like, oh, there's 3 star. They're not all that bad. Then you go up here. Whoa, 5 star. Look at those stats. Yeah, that's new. I did not know that you could buy it with energy. It says 3,200 energy. You can buy energy with real money, or you can just trade here. Although it does... Hang on. Like, wait, what? Technical difficulties. Hang on a sec.